precautions in the light of what happened 1 week ago today, of course, in the city of Parkland. That's the situation right now in Cypress Bay. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. Dan was in Weston. We just talked to Daryl Forges in Davie. Both had walkouts this morning. Hialeah High School also planning to do the same thing. In fact, it's happening right now. So let's get you out live to NBC6 reporter Claudia DeCampo with what's happening in Hialeah. Claudia.
Well, good morning. Here we are in Hialeah High School. Listen to these students. They are loud. They are passionate about what they're talking about. They've been chanting right now about gun control.
We want change! 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 We want change!
Now there are about 2,500 students here at this high school, and they are very outspoken, as you can hear them right now. A lot of people here honking their horns, also joining in this protest with these students. Let's talk to one of them right now. Just your thoughts about what you're doing now.
Right now we're protesting because, first of all, it's our right. It's our right to feel safe in the school, and I think the government needs to do something. We don't want Parkland to be just another name in the list of tragedies that have happened because of the American gun control. We need change. We need something to happen. We don't want to be next. No other school wants to be next, but we need something. We need to do something. They're not going to give us that change if we don't fight for it. I don't want to be afraid for my nieces, my family, my friends to go to school. My mom's a teacher. I don't want to be afraid every day of my life. I want change. 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 I want change.
Now we have another student here who's holding a placard that says "Students' Lives Matter." Now tell me about this sign. Tell me about this sign. There you go. A lot of people honking their horns here on East 49th Street, joining in with these students. Let me get another student here to say something, a couple of words. Come over here, please. Your thoughts right now? Your thoughts right now, joining nationwide these protests, all these high schools getting together. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, we should change. We shouldn't have these guns everywhere. People don't need to have guns at their house to be protected. All this stuff that we can get easily go. People can buy guns in the street. We don't need this stuff. It needs to change. We need to stop. That's all it is.
Now tell me about this sign up here. This sign with radio and the NRA. Okay, as you can hear, these students are very passionate about this issue, and they will be out here for a while chanting. Bringing attention to this issue. Now this placard here says we don't need prayer, we need reform now. Another placard from these students at Hialeah High School.
Okay. All right, Claudia, first off, let me just...
Guys, how many of you guys are out here?
Probably the whole school is out here. The whole entire school is out here.
What do you want? What do you want? Why are you out here?
And here you can hear people honking their horns because they can see all these students lined up here, all these students so passionate about this issue. We'll be here for a while. We'll continue bringing this to you. Back to you.
Okay, Claudia, let me ask you this just before we ask you any questions. Can you hear us? I know it's really loud. Sometimes it's hard to hear in that situation. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. We just were out in Weston and Davie at two different high schools. They did walkouts. It seemed very, very well organized. They came out, they made their statements, they held their signs, and then they went back to class. Does it seem like it's the same vibe, the same energy with this group in Hialeah as well in terms of organization and how long they might be out there?
I think so. Apparently this is an organized walkout because it's happening inside the football field. The students are not allowed to come outside of school grounds. And this is right now organized
That's not true. We need to be protected in our school, whether no one can get hurt with a normal knife, with a normal weapon. We need to be changed. We cannot be able to be so accessible to guns when we're not even able to get, I don't know, we're not even able to rent a hotel. How are we going to be able to rent a freaking gun? How are we going to be able to call?
Now, all these students are out here, about 2,500 students in this school, and I'm told that most of them are out here protesting.
Okay, Claudia, if you can hear us, obviously you're on a pretty busy street there, and a lot of people are talking about this across the community in Broward County and in Miami-Dade as well, standing in solidarity. Certainly this high school is not going to be alone this morning and going into the afternoon here. How many people do you have on that busy street in front of that school that are stopping you and asking you what's going on? Is there an awareness in the public, people driving by, of what's happening here, and that this scene is playing out at so many high schools across Florida this morning?
Absolutely. The traffic here is slowing down because all these people are honking their horns. They're paying attention. This community is responding to these students, apparently in conjunction with the protest. So they are aware of what's going on. And this is, again, like you said, a very busy street in Hialeah. And we're getting a lot of support, it seems, for these students. So this community is stepping up for them as well.
Security is out there. We can imagine teachers and educators are, assisting any way they can. You've been saying that a number of times that this is very organized. So this is something that, educators and staff members are well aware of and making sure it is controlled.
I think so, and right now it's a very peaceful protest. Nothing violent, nothing has happened other than these students really speaking out for their beliefs, standing up for what they want, and wanting, as you can hear them, gun reform. This is what they're saying.
All right.
Some of them in tears. Some of them have tears in their eyes. This is very emotional for you.
We want change. We want government now. Government gets your time. 70 kids were sent something, but we won't be.
These kids joining in sorrow, joining in change. This is what they want. A very emotional issue, obviously, for everybody here. Now, what are your teachers saying to you guys? They let you come out here?
Our administration supports us. They know that we have the right to protest. For those 17 kids that died at working. Hey, hey, NRA! How many kids have you killed today? Hey, hey, NRA! How many kids have you killed today? Hey, hey, NRA! How many kids have you killed today? Hey, hey, NRA!
Again, you hear the impassioned cries for gun control, for change. And here they stand, crying, asking for change. All these students, about 2,500 of them, the whole school out here. And administrators, teachers, they have agreed to this peaceful protest. They have allowed these students to voice their opinions, as you can hear them.
Claudia, some of these students will be 18 years old.
While protesting and talking about this, so we'll keep you updated. We'll be here too.
All right, Claudia Campo reporting live for us from Hialeah High School, obviously in Hialeah, and we have taken you just within the last couple of minutes to high schools in Weston and Davie and Hialeah, and it is very much the same situation, an organized walkout of students, staff, administrators at all of these schools are supporting it. They're coming out of their classrooms, they're making their statements, they're making their voices heard, and then they are going back to class. And coming into this, Shelley, we weren't really sure what to expect. We knew that the walkouts were being planned this morning, but whether it was going to be a complete walkout off campus, whether it was going to be contained, that was a big question mark
Yeah,
today.
from 7 o'clock this morning, we've seen some, and we expect more at noon as well. So we're going to be with you in the coming minutes here. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We continue to track every step of the way of students walking out of classes. We've seen it since 7 o'clock this morning. Yeah, we've taken you to Weston, to Davie, to Hialeah. Now we want to take you out to Cardinal Gibbons High School. Julia Bagg there is live now in Fort Lauderdale. Julia, good morning.
Hi there, Eric, Shelley. Let me go ahead and set the scene for you here. Quiet right now outside this Catholic high school, and they certainly have messages for Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. You can see it right here on the sign. The message, pray for that high school, and just above it, the Stars and Stripes flying at half staff. remembering those 14 students and 3 adults who were murdered not very far from here just 1 week ago today. So right now we are about 9 minutes out from a scheduled walkout here, and what students tell me, who we've been able to talk to, is that they plan to come out here and to pray, but they also have a message, and they talk to me about what it's been like on this campus since the horror of last week.
Door opened today, and everyone like stared at the door like who's like walking in. Like,
it's just depressing and sad.
Yeah.
So those 2 juniors telling me normally they feel safe here, but now they just don't know what to think after what happened. They say about Marjory Stoneman Douglas, probably maybe some 20 minutes, maybe just a little bit farther away from that. Take them longer to get there from here. So they feel very close to what happened. And you can see behind me a security guard who's been here as long as we've been here, and you can see students coming out right now, but we do not think that this is for the walkout, because that's supposed to be happening right at 12 noon, that students will be pouring out into the parking lot again to have a prayer service. Some of those students tell me, though, they plan to come outside as well. They want to share signs that they've made, and they're serious about gun control. The 2 juniors you just heard from, they told me they were stunned to learn that the State House voted against a motion to ban assault-style weapons in this state. That's something that they just don't think any teenager should be able to have. They told me very specifically, no teen should be able to get a gun and then unbeknownst to the rest of everyone else on campus, just be able to walk right into campus and start shooting, as we saw last week. So they have some serious concerns. They want to have their message heard. They said they're going to keep getting out their message until somebody hears us. They say the whole point of this walkout, of them walking out of their classes in just about 7 minutes from now, will be to get somebody's attention. They say they will keep sending out their message until somebody listens to them, specifically, Eric and Shelley, somebody in Tallahassee. We'll send it back to you.
Julia, thank you. And next we want to go to a story that is getting a whole lot of attention on social media. This has turned into a national story here, and it's now been marked as something fake news.
It's about a student at Stoneman Douglas, and Roxy joins us with more on this story. Roxy?
Yeah, it's a story that's gone viral, Eric and Shelley. You've likely seen it pop up on your news feed as well. This student himself debunking that fake news. David Hogg, you know him. He's one of the most well-known voices and faces of this movement. 17 years old, survived last week's shooting, and has since become extremely outspoken, of course, especially against the NRA and politicians who take money from the gun advocacy organization. But now he's being called a crisis actor. Now take a look at this video on your screen. It's video from several right organizations. That Gateway Pundit, they have latched onto this video. It shows Hogg in a news story from KCBS out of Los Angeles. He recorded this video last August. The story dealt with a confrontation between a lifeguard and a body surfer, which Hogg did record, as I said. Now, some extreme conservative sites are claiming that Hogg is an actor who goes to wherever there is a crisis story, shows up there, and is then a crisis actor, which is the word that you've seen trending on social media. An aide to Republican state lawmaker Sean Harrison, he was fired just a few hours ago for pushing the actor story that is already completely debunked. Now, apparently, the story gained people from believing that it was a mixed fact, but Hogg's father, he is a retired FBI agent, so that's what got people talking about it. Once it came out that the FBI did not follow up on a January call about the shooter, these conservative sites picked up this story, then reportedly started twisting it. That fake news twist being that the Bureau used Hogg as a pawn pushed in front of the media to blast President Trump while touting anti-gun legislation. But as we said, Hogg himself has denounced that indeed. Roxanne Vargas, NBC 6 News. Guys, back to you.
Roxy, thank you. We want to go back to Hialeah High School here, where students have been, they walked out of class and have been protesting, asking for lawmakers to listen to their concerns and their voices, that they need change. They don't want to be next, is some of their words, some of their signs. They spent hours making signs, some things that they were saying are very vocal. and very straightforward, but it is a very peaceful one that was approved by teachers, encouraged, and security is there monitoring everything, drivers honking by to show their support. And if we can listen in, I don't know how much audio we can get from this, but
ironically, on Valentine's Day, the heart of Broward County was broken by the horrific shooting that took place at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. That day, we witnessed the worst of humanity, but we also witnessed the best of the human spirit. We are extremely grateful and thankful for our first responders, law enforcement agencies who came from all over Broward County. It was a sight to behold. And most of all, we're thankful for our teachers and administrators for the immediacy of their response and the courage that they displayed in that horrific moment.
That was just moments ago. The superintendent there, Robert Runcie, addressing the school board.
Yeah, and that was, mind you, the first school board meeting, obviously, that they have had in Broward County since this school shooting happened at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. We want to take you out back to Hialeah High School, obviously in Hialeah, where this is one of many schools in Broward County and in Miami-Dade that had scheduled walkouts today. They have all been relatively well organized and fairly quick, and all of them have had the thumbs up given by administrators and teachers to pull through.
Yeah, very emotional as well. Some students there crying as they stood out there, hoping that somebody listens and hoping that something comes out of this, saying enough is enough already. So much more to come on this. We're going to take a quick break as we wait for more walkouts to continue across South Florida on this 1 week since we saw Nicholas Cruz allegedly open fire there at Stoneman Douglas. We appreciate you being with us this midday here as we continue covering the Parkland tragedy that we saw 1 week ago today.
Well, today, South Florida school students, a lot of them had planned walkouts in support for those students, staff, and faculty at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. Of course, that shooting happened 1 week ago today.
Throughout the morning, we have been seeing hundreds of students from across South Florida here walking out of class. Today, we have NBC6 crews spread throughout the area. We'll be bringing you live team coverage as we have in the past hour.
And for the most part, all of those walkouts have been very, very well organized and staggered throughout the morning. Also in Tallahassee, students from Marjory Stoneman High School in Parkland marched to the Capitol this morning to meet with state lawmakers as they try to change gun and mental health laws in an effort to have their school be the last one that has been riddled by a mass shooting like this. And mind you, Ari Adzer made that trip with them on the bus yesterday. They left at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
As more funeral services are taking place today for victims of last Wednesday's shooting, we have athletic director Chris Hickson, also wrestling as well. Hickson was killed trying to disarm the alleged gunman, Nicholas Cruz. Funeral services also starting for assistant football coach Aaron Feist. Feist was also killed when he protected students from gunfire.
And we have taken you to multiple high schools in the last couple of hours here on the air. At about 10 o'clock, a high school in Davie walked out. At 11 o'clock, a high school in Weston walked out. And right now, another walkout is happening. Claudia DeCampo live at Hialeah High School as those students are making their voices heard. Claudia.
That's right, Edgar and Shelley. And here the students are actually going back to class. But let's talk to one of the students that has been out here the whole morning. Now, tell us your thoughts. Do you think anything was accomplished?
We want change. We need to be heard because this needs to stop now. We're scared to go to our schools. We're scared to go to parks. We're scared to go to the malls. We're scared to go everywhere because this needs to stop now. And we need to be heard by everybody. And we want change. We want change. We want change.
Now, you guys are going to be protesting again, right? You're going to be out here when, next month?
We are here because we cannot vote. Our parents, these people out here have the right. They can vote. We need to let them know that change starts with the voting because people who are in power do not want the gun laws, the restrictions. I understand that our Second Amendment, our second Constitution is the right to bear arms, and we're not saying ban guns. That's impossible. We're saying please have stricter gun laws because people are dying because they're letting NRA money price our lives. We are priceless. We do not have a price on our heads. So no matter how much money they are giving you for these things, that does not matter. We need to stop this because we need to tell these people in these cars who have the right to vote, who have the right to do change, because we're just kids. So I understand that we cannot do everything, and we could try. That's why we're out here right now, because we need to do something about that, okay? Because I have 3 years exclusively.
Are you guys going to be back out here when?
Now they're telling us to leave, but we're going to stay, I think.
Next month, though, were you planning other protests, I heard?
I think so, we do. The school should be safe for us. Like, we need to feel safe. Our parents think school should be safe. Our parents are scared.
So that is the main message here from these students. Obviously, they want to be safe in their schools, and they want adults to do something because they have the power to vote. These students can only say what they want, and then they can also do it through social media. But ultimately, voters will have the say. Now, all these students have been out here for about an hour protesting. It's been very peaceful. The administrators here, the school officials have let them come out and do this on the football field. And this is a very busy street right here on East 49th Street in Hialeah, and people have been honking their horns, joining in with these students protesting for their rights, protesting for peace in school. And they're going to be out here for a little bit, but most of them are going back to class. However, I do hear that these students will be back protesting a month from now, and then every month, apparently. I don't know for how long, but that's what they're saying. So now they're going back into class, but so far it has been a very peaceful protest, very impassionate, all asking for change. Live in Hialeah, I'm Claudia DeCampo, NBC 6 News.
All right, Claudia DeCampo live for us at Hialeah High School. Appreciate that. Want to take you out to some live pictures now. Chopper 6 up over the scene. Obviously, not quite as much noise happening here, but a very similar situation in terms of students walking out. This is at Coral Springs High School. Chopper 6 up over that area. Obviously, what you just saw in Hialeah with Claudia DeCampo was very organized. Those students standing along the fence line. These students just sort of very calmly walking out of their classrooms, and this just began about 10 minutes ago.
Some of the video that we've seen from the ground there, some students holding signs that say, "Put the guns down, never again," and fear has no place in our school. Again, one of several schools that has started their walkout at noon today. We understand that Cardinal Gibbons in Fort Lauderdale, we just spoke to Julia Bagg there moments ago. They were getting ready to do the exact same thing there in Fort Lauderdale. So you can see them just filing out. This is very planned. They had strategies of what time they're going to do this, out of what building, and how long, and what their end goal here is. And we know that their goal is, of course, to get lawmakers and their attention. Yeah, like Shelley mentioned, things have been staggered. Some schools walking out at 10, others 11, others at noon. So we will be talking with Julia Bagg in just a couple of minutes. She is at Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale. Their walkout was planned at noon, so we'll get to her in just a quick second. But first, let's get you over to Tony Pipitone. Tony, obviously the Broward County School Board had their first meeting this morning. We just heard from Robert Runcie, the superintendent. Some very, very emotional words from him today.
Yeah, the board met shortly after 10 this morning, cleared its agenda of all the usual items that are on there. There were some essentials left over, but really the focus was what happened 1 week ago, and there was a remembrance of moment of silence for the students. There was an attempt to read the names of all 17 victims of the shooting, and the person who started reading could only get through 2 of those names before she broke down sobbing and in tears, and others then picked up the baton and continued to read those names. The superintendent, Mr. Runcie, did open with the statement you heard earlier, and one of the things that he pointed out is that what we saw last week was the worst of humanity.
There are no words to describe the sorrow and the grief that this community is feeling. We have lost some wonderful, promising children and truly dedicated teachers and administrators. Our priority is to focus on the well-being of our students, our staff, and our families. Our thoughts and prayers continue in this difficult and long journey to recovery.
All of the board members and some of the staff in that meeting this morning in Fort Lauderdale, all wearing gear from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Reporting live in the newsroom, Tony Pipitone, NBC 6 News.
We want to go back to Coral Springs High School. We just told you they were walking out moments ago, and this is what they're doing, forming a heart. Pretty powerful to watch this from Chopper 6 up above here at that field there. Forming a heart, simply saying so much to show that they are supporting, standing in solidarity with students just miles away there.
Yeah, and I think this answers a lot of questions. Yesterday, we were just hearing that a lot of high schools in Broward County and Miami-Dade were planning walkouts, but we had no idea whether they were going to be sanctioned by the school, whether administrators and teachers were going to be giving the okay for this. And apparently, based upon what you're seeing here, there's an incredible amount of organization and thought that has gone through this process. The kids not just making signs, but also this takes some time to figure out that they're going to do this and how they're going to go about it. So well organized, these students are walking out, making their statements, and then going back to class. We've got Amanda Placencia. She is at that high school right now, obviously close to where all of this is happening. Amanda, give us an idea of what's happening there.
Well, yes, Eric, they're baby young, but their voice is very mighty here today at Coral Springs High School. We have kids chanting out here, kids with lots of signs. I'm actually going to talk to Luis here. And I want to ask you guys just walked out of school. It's about over 2,000 of you here. Tell me, what is your message today?
My message today is just to spread it. You know, we're here for everybody that's hurt. We just want to show love to everybody, and we're just so sorry for the people that lost people and family. And I lost a friend as well, so we're just here to support them.
I hear everyone chanting, no more gun violence. You know, over 2,000 kids here. They are making a change. They're taking action, and they want to be heard. Of course, they're pushing for tougher gun laws, also school safety. And I want to ask you as well, you know, what happened yesterday in Tallahassee with the students went up to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, they went up to Tallahassee. What do you think about what happened there and how they voted down that assault rifle ban bill?
It's just so sad that they didn't give them the chance to actually talk and actually cooperate with us. You know, we're here with schools, and as one county, we're just here to support each other and to stand by each other. And it's just so sad that they didn't give us a chance to actually speak our voice. And this is why we're out here today, just to speak our voice and show that we're here for something, and we're trying to mean something.
Well, you guys are going to make the walk. Are you walking towards Marjorie Stoneman?
Yes, we're walking. We're toward Stoneman Douglas. We're trying to walk all the way over there.
Wow, wow. All right, well, there you have it. I'm going to show you what else we see. These kids out here in full support. Now, they just say they're fed up. They say they're angry as 17 young lives were lost in Parkland just only a week ago today. So this walkout, their way of speaking up, taking action for real change. And as I said, yesterday was a blow to some of these students as the Stoneman Douglas students went up to Tallahassee and they were pushing for that assault rifles ban, but no bill was heard again as it was voted down for this legislative session. But these students here say they're not giving up their fight. They're showing their solidarity with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas students. So they're just here. It's not a skip day. These kids out here with their signs, they want a message. They want tougher gun laws. They want for safer schools. So Coral Springs Police and the fire department is out here. We're trying to get out of the road so these kids can stay safe. They want kids to stay on West Sample Road and Coral Springs Drive. So we're going to speak to some of these students. But again, this is a movement as other schools across the nation are also planning some walkouts in April. So we'll bring it back to you. But for now, I'm live in Coral Springs. Amanda Placencia, NBC 6 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
Students who say they plan to walk to Stoneman Douglas. Let's get over to Tallahassee here, the state capitol.
We may be too young to vote, but soon we will be able to vote, and we will vote you out. And soon, we will be able to run for office, and we will take your place. And many students around the country can't wait to go vote, can't wait to go run for office and to make a change, to make a safer world. You adults have failed us by not creating a safer place for your children to go to school. So we, the next generation, will not fail our own kids. We will make this change happen. if not today, then tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, next year. Take it from us. You created a mess for us, but we will make this world safer for our children. The children and the students all around the world are watching you. The people of Florida are watching you. The citizens of my beloved United States of America are watching you. If you do not take action now, then we, the future leaders of America, will. Next, I would like to announce Representative McGee, who sponsored the bill that bans assault weapons.
So let's make sure we are clear and we're on the same page. This is a movement. This is a movement because our politicians have failed us. The adults have failed you. Those who are empowered to change the way we do things have failed you. But I'm here to tell you today, Florida, and you who are a part of this movement, you will not fail because this is your moment. This is the moment that you have been waiting for. You see, we all know that every leader, including yourself, you have 4 pillars that you stand upon. And that first pillar that you stand upon that brought you here today is your faith. It is your faith that moves you. That second pillar that moved all of you to come here today on these Capitol steps is the respect for your flag. That flag that binds all of us together as one nation, as one people who are looking forward to a better America. The third pillar that you constantly reminds us of is the importance of family. You see, this is a family. Marjorie Stoneman was a family. This is a family affair. This is a family affair. But it is that last pillar. It is that last pillar that led me to push forward that motion on the House floor yesterday. It is this last pillar that I know that really brings all of us together and put all of this into true context. And that last pillar is our future. This is what our future looks like. You see, there will be those who claim that we are attempting to run over the Second Amendment. There will be those who say we are trying to take guns from the American people. But we are here to tell the same people that there's also the Eighth Amendment.
All right, so we'll continue to follow those speeches that are happening out of Tallahassee. Obviously, we're listening to some lawmakers speak. We've got a lot of students as well from Stoneman Douglas in Parkland that are also speaking in Tallahassee. So we'll get back there in just a second. But we want to get you out live right now to Julia Bagg. Julia, you were in Fort Lauderdale, Cardinal Gibbons High School, where that walkout was scheduled to start about 15 minutes ago. What's happening?
That's just about when it did start, Eric, and a very solemn, reflective tone that we've been hearing. And now I do want to show you, just in the last few minutes, these students leaving campus right now, carrying some signs. You can read them with me. Protect kids, not guns. Another sign I see that says, never again. So just a handful of students outside the campus. But if you listen with me now, you probably hear some music in the background because students have walked out of their classes for a prayer service, specifically a prayer service. We heard a voice over the loudspeaker insisting that this is not a political rally, that the school stands in solidarity with those victims. And right now, if you recognize that tune, you may remember it from the movie Selma, the song Rise Up. That's what's been playing here just in the last few minutes. Now, okay, so I'm just listening to what the school official is saying, because school officials want this to be, is telling those students you see there to go back on campus. The majority of students have remained in this parking lot and courtyard area here at Cardinal Gibbons High School, but we knew that some students had told us that they were going to leave campus. So if you saw that exchange with that official, he was telling this group of 16 girls right here, join the other students back on campus. You see the gate is locked, so clearly a desire. They didn't want anybody to leave campus. The way that they set up this observance really was something with prayer, which we heard. We heard the names of the victims being read as well a short while ago. And now, of course, you can see how it is wrapping up. We see students starting to walk back to class now. So the school officials here at Cardinal Gibbons wanting this, as I mentioned before, they didn't want this to take on a political tone. We heard that from over the loudspeaker here, that this was a time to stand in solidarity. However, the teens you see on this corner right now, these are ones, we spoke with one earlier, and they're the ones who wanted to make their voices heard. And let me find out if perhaps, ladies, is there anything you would like to say to us right now? If you want to, you're certainly welcome to share what's on your minds and on your signs, of course. I see this sign here, no more silence, end gun violence, never again. You chose to walk out. I know that some of we just heard that school official speaking with you. Tell us why you're here.
That
and
is,
not
our principal, who is not letting us walk out on gun violence, and we're probably going to get a little reprimanded from it, saying maybe a detention or something. But honestly, this is something that needs to be heard, and that our classmates agree with us. And
they say we're a family.
There's people in there standing with posters that they're not going to let walk out. This was a movement that was decided by the entire county, and we wanted to stick by it. We're going to stick to the other schools. And even though our school doesn't let us, we decided to do it anyway.
Schools walk to Douglas from their school, but we can barely even walk off campus. I don't understand that.
What's the message that you want to send from standing on this corner right now?
We want to feel safe. I want all of society, I want to be able to be safe not only in school, but wherever I go. I think assault rifles are unnecessary to have in civilization, that they're only used to hunt people, and that we shouldn't need them in our everyday lives. If you needed your self-protection, there's other ways to have your protect yourself from and bear your arms. There's other than rifles, like shotguns. You can keep one of those in your house. There are handguns. There's more control on handguns, which is great. And that's what we need. We need more restriction on the gun laws.
Okay, well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your message with us, for spending your time here. So we're going to go ahead and send things back to you, Eric and Shelley. Things wrapping up inside, but these young women still remaining on the outside here, as you just saw and heard, with their signs. Eric and Shelley.
All right, and right now, Julia, thank you for that. You are looking over at Taravella High School there in Coral Springs, another school, one of dozens taking part in these walkouts and these protests that have been very peaceful, very organized over the past couple of hours. In the past, since we've been on air just before 11 o'clock, we have taken you to Fort Lauderdale, Hialeah, Coral Springs, Davie, Weston, where they have all had protests, very peaceful walkouts, and also Tallahassee, where you just heard from Democratic Representative Keon McGee talking about politicians failing these students, and that these students here, what we have watched over the course of a week since this tragedy, is a movement and a moment, and that these students will be the ones to make the change that for so long has not been able to come to fruition.
All right, so we have seen throughout Miami-Dade and Broward County, very similar to what you're looking at here at Taravella High School, students walking out. We'll continue to follow all of this throughout the afternoon. Jackie Nesperal is in Washington, D.C. right now ahead of the president's meeting, which is scheduled to begin at 4:15 this afternoon. Of course, we will be covering all of that right here on NBC6, so you can look for her live reports beginning after the Olympics at 5 p.m. tonight. So we will return you now to your regular programming, Days of Our Lives. But we hope you'll join us for a complete wrap of all the day's events and everything that we know coming out of Parkland, Tallahassee, and D.C. when we begin NBC 6 News at 5 o'clock this evening.